Hey guys, all right, so today I had to make a video. I know that there's a lot of people, there's a lot of confusion over what happened with the Loretta Lynch vote. People are accusing Ted Cruz of helping Loretta Lynch get nominated, and it's ridiculous. So I need to clarify that, help you guys understand what happened. So Ted Cruz has been saying for a long time that Loretta Lynch is a more extreme version of Eric Holder. When Eric Holder was nominated, he didn't admit that Obama had no limits on his power, which Loretta Lynch has pretty much. Ted Cruz has pressed her on this, and she won't admit a single limit on the president on his discretionary power. So basically, he can do whatever he wants, even though the law says one thing. So he's been out there saying that we need to block this nomination. We need to block her. And he's saying don't even let her come out of committee. Don't put her on the floor. Use every procedural means possible to block her. Well, we all know that the Republican leadership doesn't agree with us, and we all know that the Republican leadership wanted to nominate Loretta Lynch. So what did they do? You need 60 votes to take her from committee and put her onto the floor for a vote. As soon as she goes to a vote, you only need 51 votes. Now, if you can get the 60 to remove the block from debate, to cut off debate and throw her into the floor, if you can get those 60 votes, well, obviously you can get the 51 votes because the 60 people who vote to put her to the floor don't want to block her. If they did, why would they vote to put her on the floor? Why would they vote to cut off debate? The trick is when they're voting to cut off debate, it's because they want her to be voted on. That obviously means they want her nominated. Otherwise, why cut off debate? Just leave her indefinitely in committee. Well, this is what happened, and 20 Republicans voted with the Democrats. All the Democrats voted to bring her to a vote, and 20 Republicans joined them to bring her to a vote, and cloture passed. And when the vote came, it was hours later. Ted had a fundraiser already scheduled in Texas, and as soon as they lost the cloture vote, he said they got 20 Republicans to vote with them. They only need, I believe it's, I believe it's 7 votes, 6 or 7 votes to confirm her. They have 20 to cut off debate to bring her out of committee. So if they can get 20, they can obviously get to 6, right? So Ted says, this is a waste of my time. She's already nominated. He took off. She got 56 votes. She only needed 51, but she got 56. And 10 Republicans voted with the Democrats to nominate her. Now, there are people out there saying because Ted left, because he didn't stay to watch that final vote, because he didn't stay for that show vote, even though his vote would have made absolutely no difference, that fight was over. The cloture vote was the vote that mattered because 60 votes is what they needed to block it. Because they gave up that fight, it was already over, and there's people out there saying, oh, well, she technically had to be nominated at that vote, so why wasn't he there to vote no? First point, voting no would have changed nothing. They had 56 votes. She was already in. Second point, he had scheduled this fundraiser. When you're running for president, you can't be in the Senate 24/7 watching the clock run down. What does he gain from being there watching us lose another battle? What does he gain? Do we want him to run for president? Do we want him to win? We want him to have the money to compete, to beat the establishment, to beat these powers in Washington, the ones that are confirming people like Loretta Lynch, the ones that are crushing people like Chris McDaniel in Mississippi. That Congress voted for her. And if we had beaten these guys, we wouldn't have to have these fights. We'd have people there that stand with Ted. But because we lost that fight, we got to win 2016. So Ted said, this fight's over. As soon as the cloture vote went through, it was over. So he said, my time is more valuable over here. And he went and he fundraised. Now, I think that was the right thing to do because he fought, he tried. 20 Republicans betrayed us and voted with President Obama for the most radical attorney general in history. What more is there to do? I'd rather have him go fight for the next battle, the next one we can win. Once that's over, Let's move on to the next one. That's what adults do. You only work on what you can control. You focus on what you can control. What's out of your control, you let that go. You let it go. You don't keep fighting and fighting and fighting when it's over. When throwing a tantrum, that's useless. It also hurts you as a presidential candidate because it makes you look like you're not interested in winning. You're just interested in fighting. You're just interested in being loud and opposing things. Ted's interested in winning. And you need to be careful. A lot of these attacks that came out started from left-wing blogs and libertarian blogs. That's where it started coming from. And they were running with it. And then you had other people that don't support Ted that support another candidate, like maybe Rand or Rubio or Walker or somebody else. And they're running with these stories that are being pushed by the left and by the radical libertarians. So be careful where you read these articles. There's always a spin on it. And no, Ted had nothing to do with the confirmation of Loretta Lynch. That was the 20 Republicans that voted for cloture. And Ted did the right thing here, and we need him to keep fighting for 2016. And Ted has never lied to us. So why would you think he's starting now? If he hasn't given you a reason to doubt him, don't doubt him. So I just wanted to clear that up for you guys. I hope that helps. I hope that helps you understand it. One last point I wanted to mention. Uh, TED was hosted by some gay donors in New York, gay conservatives, and they like what TED stands for. They believe in his economic message. They believe in his strong national defense message, a Reagan message, peace through strength, very different than the John McCain version of it. And they hosted him and they decided to fundraise for him, just like there's a lot of Democrat Jews in New York that are now fundraising for TED because people believe in him. They're inspired by what he stands for. He's not like any other politician. This guy is telling you the truth when he says, I'm going to stand for the Constitution. When he says the Constitution says it's up to the states to decide marriage, these gay donors look at that and they say, hey, I can respect that. You may not agree with me on marriage, but as far as your policy perspective, I kind of agree with that. I'll settle for that. And then they're fundraising for him. That's amazing. And they asked Ted if his daughters were gay, would he love them less? And he's like, of course not. I'd love my daughters the same no matter what they were. And people are like, oh, gotcha. Gotcha, Ted. Gotcha. Now you're changing your tone because you have gay billionaire donors. I mean, not billionaires. I don't know what they are. But you got some gay donors and now you're changing your tone. You're a flip-flopper. Come on. Come on. So be careful with those headlines. I've seen them out there. Follow my group, Ted Cruz 2016. I have a link on the description. And you can always get our perspective on these stories and ignore the media, ignore Google, because that's all you're going to find. It's a bunch of garbage. I hope this helps, guys. So I'll see you soon. Take it easy. Ted Cruz 2016.